Hey guys, how's it going? Greetings from Pokhara, Nepal. First thing I'll say here is I'm getting over a cold, so pardon my voice, but I'm definitely getting better and I'm getting excited for trekking in the Himalayas outside of Pokhara here very soon. I'm waiting for my trekking partner and friend John, who should be arriving today, and then we will be doing last minute preparations and then hitting the trail. So in this video then I wanted to talk generally about trekking in the Himalayas, especially for my viewers who might not have been here, or haven't talked to someone who has gone trekking in the Himalayas, have only heard about maybe climbing to the peak of Everest, and might not have a good idea what does that mean, trekking in the Himalayas. And so the title of this video is, do you need a guide or porter to trek in the Himalayas? So a guide is somebody who would hike with you along your trek and basically just show you the way. And then a porter, on the other hand, is somebody who would be carrying your stuff, or at least a good chunk of your stuff. And so those are generally two separate people. They could maybe potentially be the same person, I'm not really sure about that. But more often than people would have a guide because they feel apprehensive, understandably, about going off hiking into the Himalaya mountains. Someone to show them the way, make sure they don't get lost, help them out with just general, finding accommodation and any problems that might arise and whatnot. However, you do not need a guide and or a porter to go trekking in the Himalayas. Many people do bring one or the other, but I've done 2 treks now in the Himalaya mountains here in Nepal, both without a guide or a porter. I have done previously 2 years ago the Langtang National Park trek, which is north of Kathmandu, really amazing. And then 8 years ago, then I did the Annapurna Base Camp trek. And so here is a photo of me at Annapurna Base Camp with Annapurna 1 behind me, 10th tallest mountain in the world at about 8,000 meters or 26,500 feet. And so there is a cluster of lodges at the base camp there, which you cannot see in that photo. But both of the treks that I have done previously, Langtang and Annapurna Base Camp, were about a week-long trek. And so you start at one point, you basically just kind of get dropped off somewhere, and then start on the trail, hike up, and then come back. The trek that I'm doing next, in the next couple of days, is going to be, first of all, the Annapurna Base Camp trek, the same one that I did before. And so I will be hiking up to that same spot, so you're going to get to see that incredible view there. That is just one mountain there, Annapurna 1, and so you hike up into the middle of the mountains there, and then the sort of valley there is a spot that is ringed by high peaks of the Himalayas. And so there's Annapurna 1, and then Annapurna 2, 3, 4, Machapachuri, Dhaulagiri, Manaslu. Those are all in that area. I'm not exactly sure if they're all within sight of the Annapurna Base Camp itself. But anyways, point being, the views there, 360 degrees, are all high, snowy peaks of the Himalayas. Absolutely stunning. In order to do these treks, you do not need any kind of special experience or gear. Basically, you just need basic backpacking type of gear. However, you do not even need a tent, a stove, food other than just some general snacks. So the way that it works in trekking in the Himalayas, most of the treks, or some of the treks, the Himalayas are huge, obviously, and there's, you could go wandering wherever you want if you have the experience and the gear or whatever. And so there are treks that you can do that do require basically a guide, or else you to be super knowledgeable about that area or whatever. And then you would be bringing a tent and your own food, and then cooking things up along the way and whatnot. So that is like a much more sort of into the wild kind of a trekking experience. But what I'm doing, what I've done in my previous 2 treks, and what most tourists do when they come to Nepal, is that they do a trek that involves hiking along established village trails and even cobblestone paths, and then hiking through villages along the way. And so there are lodges all along the trekking route. And so you're not just kind of lost in the wilderness somewhere and then finding a spot in a cave or under a tree or whatever. to sleep for the night, you are seeing people along the way. You're passing lots of trekkers, you're passing local village people. There may be stretches of a mile or two or three or whatever where you don't see much. Eventually you're going to come across another village, or maybe just a lodge along the trail that is catering to the trekkers. And then it will be obvious this is a place that you can stay. They'll have signs, the name of the place. Then you can stop there for lunch if you like, if you're continuing your hiking, or you can stop there and stay for the night. You don't need any kind of special experience or expertise. You just got to be in good shape and be prepared to carry a backpack on your back, because you are going to be carrying a fair amount of stuff. Unless, of course, you're getting a porter, and then they're going to carry most of your stuff, and then probably you would just carry like a day pack, such as this one. Now, I'm going to do a separate video talking about getting ready for your trek in the Himalayas, as far as gear and the permits and stuff like that. So look down below this video for a link to that video for some more sort of technical information about actually getting ready for such a trek. The general idea then is that you're hiking up paths that are who knows how many hundreds of years old, and there's a vast network of these trails and paths that connect to the villages that the people have used for centuries, because of course people lived in the Himalaya mountains long before foreign tourists discovered Nepal and tried to climb Everest and everything, and decided we're going to go here for our holiday or whatever and experience the Himalayas. Meanwhile, people have been living in this region for hundreds, thousands of years, who knows how long, and so you were hiking along those established routes. And so it is really a ideal, ultimate situation in which you can go experience the most spectacular mountains in the world. They are absolutely stunning, and yet have basically the comforts of home, sort of. It is very rustic, but you will stay in a room. Usually you can have your own separate room in a lodge. It is super cheap, the accommodation, because they make most of their money off of the food that you buy there for dinner and breakfast. And so on my recent trek to Lengting National Park 2 years ago, I only paid for accommodation like 1 or 2 nights of the, I think, 6 nights that I spent on the trail there. The others were all free. This was in the middle of winter, it was February, and then you end up spending $15 to $25 or so per day on all of your food. From what I understand, then I will be paying for accommodation probably most of the nights along this trek, but even then it's going to be like 200 rupees, 300 rupees, 400 or 500 rupees, so that's $2, $3, $4, $5, and then plus the $15 or $20, whatever, for food. And so the lodges then will have the separate rooms for people to stay in, and then a lodge kind of dining hangout area where all of the trekkers will converge for dinner in the evenings. And usually that will be heated. There will be some sort of like gas heating in the dining room of the lodge, and then you get served your dinner and everything, and then hang out and talk with people, and maybe play a game of chess or whatever. And then when you head back to your room, then there is almost never heating in your room, in your private room. And this might even be in the case of there being snow on the ground outside. I remember once waking up on the top of the Langtang trek, where there was lots of snow up there, and there was ice in my water bottle that I had left, that was inside my room, right by my bed. And so your room will likely get down below freezing. The elevation varies considerably, and so I'm expecting that a lot of this trek will be fairly mild weather because it is late April here, and it is nice and warm here in Pokhara. And so probably parts of the trek will be, pretty pleasant, hiking in shorts, and then cool in the evenings, a little bit chilly at night. But then once you get up into the higher elevations, it's going to get genuinely cold, and probably downright, literally freezing at night in some places. And so you bring your own sleeping bag. However, the lodges also provide blankets, but you want to make sure you have your own sleeping bag. For one thing, just to have something of your own that's you think is hopefully is relatively clean to sleep in. And then also a sleeping bag keeps you warmer than blankets, which tend to let in air and stuff. But then you don't need to have, you know, the top-notch sleeping bag necessarily, and then you can throw a couple of blankets over you as well, or just curl up in them while you're reading a book or whatever, hanging out in the evening. And then you get through the night and hopefully stay fairly warm, and then get up early in the morning and go for breakfast in your lodge, and then pack up your backpack. And so you will be carrying, of course, your cold weather gear, jacket, long underwear, gloves, and all that kind of stuff, which again I will talk about in the other video. And so you're going to be carrying a backpack, but it won't be a super heavy backpack because no food and everything. And then you hit the trail and keep on hiking and hike on to the next lodge. And then there are enough lodges that you don't necessarily have to determine where you're going to go the next night. You also don't need reservations at these lodges. You just hike along, and then when you decide you've had it for the day, you can get a map that will show the different lodges along the way, and then you'll have an idea where you are, where the next lodge is, and then you can decide as you're hiking along where to go next, where to decide to stop, or maybe stop for lunch or whatever. And then you stop at the next lodge and stay there for the night, and then, you know, wake up and repeat. And so the trek that I'm doing starts with the Annapurna Base Camp trek that I mentioned before, and that I've done before, and then it comes down part way, and then I'll be looping off and then connecting into the Annapurna Circuit trek, which is a longer trek, which then goes around the Annapurna Mountains and takes a good like 3 weeks or so. And so this is going to be a trek of altogether 3 to 4 weeks, something like that. We'll see. Just depends on how you're feeling, how hard you hike and everything. And so you're off the grid. I don't know about internet access. I have heard that there is in fact Wi-Fi available at some of the lodges along the trekking route here. However, I've also heard that the Wi-Fi is really slow, and so I'm not expecting to be able to upload videos along this trek. We'll see. Maybe like a couple of little short clips at the very least. Just do a quick little 1-2 minute thing, and then probably have to you know, downgrade the quality of the clip in order to be able to upload it if the internet speeds are really bad. I'm hoping maybe I'll get some decent, you know, internet and be able to upload some real videos. But I will be editing as I go along. From what I've heard, then there should be power in some of the lodges, so as long as I can power up my computer, then I can at least do editing and have them all ready to go for when I come back, or maybe get a connection and be able to post a video or two along the way. We shall see. So anyways, I hope that has given you a general idea of the trekking experience, and the fact that you do not need a guide or a porter necessarily, unless you happen to decide that that's how you want to do it. Thanks for watching, and again, check down below this video to the link to the other video talking about how to get ready for the Himalayas and the gear that you got to bring and all that kind of stuff. And then stay tuned for lots more videos smack in the middle of the Himalaya Mountains. All right, take it easy.